So here's a little proof that I have been a homemaker even as a child.
This plastic bag is proof that you can be a homemaker at any age. This plastic bag holds a lot of my childhood that my mother saved and gifted me when I got my first house. And I'm going to share a letter with you that proves I've been a homemaker since I was a little girl. Hello, kindred spirits. In today's video, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about homemaking at any age. I'm going to be working on some topiaries and rooting some English ivy. And then we're going to go outside. I'm going to get a few things done, and I'm going to show you an update on some of the garden plans. And I completely forgot, but I'm going to add into the video while I'm editing this. I'm going to show you an update of where the seeds are and my new seeds came in. I hope you enjoy this video.
So here's a little proof that I have been a homemaker even as a child, and a young child at that. Now, with our old property, there were a lot of outbuildings, and my parents allowed me to do whatever I wanted with these outbuildings. They probably wanted to keep me outside because I was such an active child. But I love that my mother saved this letter, and I'm going to read it in a moment. But some things that I think are funny is, one, my spelling. Like I said, I was a young child. I'm anywhere from 8 to 10 years old, I'm guessing. And I even see here, bust blanket. That shows a little bit of my dyslexia there instead of dust blanket. My only neighbor, my childhood friend Nicole, she and I used to do a lot of things, and she and I were working on this building. So I had to dust in drawer cleaner, sweep couch, and I asked Nicole to vacuum, wash windows outside, and dust a blanket. But what I thought was interesting also here, and I still do this to the day, I go from printing to script. I still do it. While I was mentioning that, I had to grab this. This is part of an inventory sheet I did a couple months ago for the shop. And here's some proof. I still do it. I have print, and then I have some script, and then I have some print. Oh, and then I go to script. It's something I've done my whole life, which I didn't know until I just re-looked and reread this old letter. I love that. Gosh, my writing hasn't changed much either. But let me see if I can read this. I'm hoping it's legible. I mean, it's legible, but I'm hoping it makes sense. We want to thank you for doing our roof and clearing out the building. We will try to make it one of our best houses. We will be needing a couple more things done, and we will need to ask you a way to keep our house a little warmer. Now, let me tell you, I used to put on the vacuum and let the warm air from the vacuum try to warm it. So we know there is an electric heater. We would like to use it. It is fun decorating and cleaning the building. We will be sending you papers we would like you to sign, like property owning, and what things we cannot use. And if you want us to, we will pay you some money every week for the electricity bill. We do not mind at all. I think this is hysterical. But here I am talking about decorating and cleaning at a very young age. And this was in a mill. We had barns, we had a sawmill, blacksmith shop, cobbler shop, root cellar, and this particular one was for the sawmill that we were doing over one end of it. And my parents put a couch in there and the whole works for us. So they were my inspiration for what I do today. They let me make over our creepy basement. They let me do over the attic. I was in every building except for the barn because the horses were in the barn. I didn't get to do that, but it was an amazing property to grow up on. And the fact that my parents let me dream and play like this, they helped create the woman that you watch today. because I had to do a lot of hands-on, and I did a lot of construction with my parents, and I did a lot of cleaning and gardening and everything. This was a homestead that I lived on, and this letter that my mother saved is something I'm going to cherish, and this is not being discarded during my cleaning. This is going to be saved. I came across this photo. I think this is hysterical. My mom is actually, looks like washing dishes after my dad removed the back of the house. So this is the kitchen. Talk about a homemaker.
In today's video, for this first part, we're going to be talking about being a homemaker and how you can be a homemaker at any age. It doesn't stop. You can start as soon as you have your first apartment. You could even be a homemaker when you're living with your parents, and you can be a homemaker up until your hundreds. So let's go over a few things of what it means to be a homemaker. I'm just going to have some videos going on here in the background of me just doing a bit of homemaking in our own home. And I'm looking forward to doing a video I'm planning in the future of what it was like being a homemaker in the 1700s, the 1800s, compared to now. But that's for another day. Now, speaking of the 1700s, 1800s, even into the 1900s and beyond, today's homemaking extends beyond the traditional tasks. It is quite a bit different, and it emphasizes being creative in your own home. It's sustainability and it's intentional living for you and your family and your friends. And this can include shopping for new home decor or moving things around your home, organizing spaces, big or small, preparing meals with care, and fostering a connection with others, which could be through gatherings or creating those family traditions or keeping those family traditions alive. And a homemaker is usually taking on the role of emotional labor in the household, ensuring that the home is a place of rest, rejuvenation, and connection. As I just mentioned, homemaking can be done at any age because it's deeply personal and it evolves with our life stages, and we're not confined and controlled by our age. It's our current needs, our preferences, and our abilities. And here are a few reasons why homemaking is timeless and accessible to everyone, and it doesn't stop if we don't want it to. Now, homemaking does evolve with our life stages. Now, in the younger years, I remember moving my bedroom around and decorating it, and it's small steps. It's like decorating a dorm room. It's learning how to cook a simple meal for yourself and then maybe for a future partner. And it's a way of being independent and establishing routines. In our family years, a lot of it has to do with homemaking, and it evolves around creating a nurturing environment for our children, our spouses, our loved ones. It's balancing the needs of not only ourselves, but our household members. And then for some of us, we become empty nesters, or if we don't have children, it's a time that we're retiring or we're aging and we have some thoughts for the future. And as life slows down, homemaking can become a whole new routine, and it's focused on our personal pleasures, our personal comforts, our hobbies, and celebrating our own tastes. It's also a time to preserve traditions and share it with our loved ones and our children, or even it could be when we're downsizing and still making our home a sanctuary. Now, one reason I decided to do this because it was in my last video, I believe it's the last video, when I was sitting down and ironing. Homemaking is adaptable to our physical abilities. So whether it's our age or maybe our bodies are just changing or life changes happen, homemaking doesn't have to require strenuous effort. It can be tailored to our physical abilities and our energy levels. It can range from gardening, window gardening, right in the house. You could plant an herb garden in your house, to some gardening outside, baking your favorite meal, or even researching recipes and then sharing those recipes with your friends. Maybe they'll cook for you or bake for you. But it's time to reflect and maybe even look at photos and organize them and make little notes for future family members of who is in that photo. That's part of homemaking. you're sharing traditions and you're sharing your life passions with others. Once again, homemaking reflects individual creativity at any age. So homemaking can be a form of self-expression, whether it's decorating a small apartment, curating family heirlooms in a display cabinet, such as I have in our home with things from Ben's family and my family, learning new DIY skills, and creating timeless things for the future. For example, a teenager decorating their bedroom is just as much being a homemaker as a retiree restoring an antique desk for their study, or sharing things with their loved ones, such as recipes, teaching how to launder items in a special way that is not just putting a pod into the machine and washing and go. It's sharing your knowledge. At any age, homemaking fosters emotional well-being, such as, let's say you're a college student and you're decorating your dorm. You're surrounding yourself with things that make you feel comfortable, and it might even help with your study habits. Or let's say you're a senior and you're finding purpose in crafting and giving homemade gifts. You're finding your purpose. It's what's making you happy. And that's for you to figure out what it is you like to do with your homemaking skills that make you happy. Just like my saying of enjoying a life of fine living, no matter how simple or grand that may be, it's the same with homemaking. It could be simple or it can be grand. It doesn't matter. Homemaking can range from a simple task of tidying up, opening a drawer and tossing old pens and pencils. It could be arranging flowers, or it could be more involved, like prepping a large family meal or planning seasonal decor for the coming months. It's scalable to whatever life requires at that moment. For example, somebody in their 20s may prioritize efficiency in homemaking and learning new skills, while someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, even 100, may savor slowing down and thoughtful tasks like baking bread or attending to a garden or a window garden or even a small plant next to a chair on an end table. And homemaking is also a mindset. It's not just about tasks. And age is irrelevant. It's a heartwarming moment. Homemaking can be about cultivating joy and comfort within a space. It could be buying a throw that goes perfectly with your chair or a new outfit that you might have bought. It's doing things that aren't perfect. It's about finding beauty in creating a home. And I had somebody say the other day that one thing I was sharing in my videos was the beauty of homemaking. And I really loved that little comment and quote. This is what homemaking is. It's the beauty of homemaking. It's sharing the joy. For an example, a newlywed setting up a first-time apartment, and a retiree downsizing to a small apartment, or even a one-room at a nursing home. And what we do when we look at homemaking is different for everybody, but it never has to stop. In conclusion, once again, homemaking can be done at any age because it's deeply personal and it's ever evolving, it's ever changing. Whether you're just starting out, raising a family, or entering a chapter in your life that is slowing down, homemaking provides that opportunity for creativity, for comfort, and connecting with others at every stage of life. Now on this day, I wanted to do some homemaking. I'm feeling better and I was cooking and I am putting some live greens out that I bought the other day, and I am enjoying making my house feel like a cozy home with spring coming, but I'm not ready for spring yet. I'm still enjoying my winter. And I had a lot of fun doing this. This was a moment I was creating, and it was a very simple moment of relaxing and putting together some topiaries and a little basket of hyacinths and some crocuses. And yes, I'm making sure that they are going to fit properly. But this moment was so relaxing, and once it was done, This little simple homemaking task not only fueled my creative side, but once I put them out, I now can walk through a room and see the beauty of these flowers that are going to bloom and grow soon. And it's just going to be a reminder to me how much I love our home and love making a beautiful space for us to live. At this time, I'm writing down the colors of the flowers because I know when I put the Spanish moss in, I won't be able to lift them out as easily to look. But I do have a purple hyacinth there, I have a blue, I have a white crocus, and I have a striped purple crocus. And it's going to be so beautiful once these bloom. But I have something I want to show you. This is why I bought this. It used to be covered in a moss, but it wore off over the years. So I'm going to fix that up again. And I bought 2 packages of this for that reason. And as I was saying that, I have covered items with actual moss that I purchased. I might use moss versus the Spanish moss because I want it to be tight to the dog. I'm not sure, but I'm glad I had it on hand. I bought that bag of Spanish moss well over a year ago, and it's coming in handy for my plantings. I'm just going to give them a little drink of water. Then I'm going to go over to the topiaries. One topiary is so overgrown. There's a lot of tendrils growing out that you can see. I'm actually going to clip those and get them ready to root in some water. And then I'm going to try to shape it down to the size of the smaller one. And then I'm going to do the same with some smaller clippings. Now, I think I mentioned it later in the video, but when you're doing ivy like this, you can use it from outside or you can take it from a plant if you have a friend that will let you have some. You want to have a piece that has at least 4 leaves on it, and then you're going to cut it below a leaf and below the node, and you want to have a nice angle cut to it so that it can drink up a lot of water. You can also use a rooting compound and put it in soil, but I personally like to see it root and then I transplant it. So this is one of those things I find fun, and I did do this, and I've been doing this since I was a child. I was one of those, I don't want to say geeky kids, but as soon as February rolled around, I would go outside and dig up vinca if it was melted from the sun, and I would dig up ivy and I would plant it in my bedroom. I was very much a homemaker as a young child, and I have a letter somewhere. I'm going to see if I can find it for this video that I wrote to my parents probably when I was 8 or 9 years old, asking to rent one of the buildings on our property to make a little home of it. So I'm going to search for that and see if I can find it, and I will share it a little bit later if I do find it. I'm going to be trying 2 different saucer sizes for underneath the planter. Now, I like the larger size dish visually, but when I put it on my counter, I like to tuck some things up against it, and the large ones take up a little bit more space, so I opted for the smaller ones, even though the bigger looks better. Now this is when one thing leads to another. I just went to place the plant and I realized the stove needs a cleaning. So I ended up quickly taking it apart. It doesn't take a long time, and I gave it a quick cleaning with my Dawn vinegar and water. It really cuts the grease nicely on the stove. I'm going to be putting the olive oil near the stove, so I figured it was time to fill it up. And thank you for those who mentioned about the canola oil, and we started doing a lot more research, and I have in the past, but I was still kind of a stickler on it. We are going to get rid of our canola oils. We're getting rid of any seed oils. What we're going to be doing is replenishing everything with olive oil and avocado oil and coconut oils and things like that. So thank you for those of you who brought a little bit of education to my brain this week. Now I'm going to finish my cuttings, before we head outside.
What I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to take a lot of these shorter ones that I have and put them in a shorter glass. So I'm going to root these and we're going to go from there.
For those who haven't propagated ivy before, it's very easy. You select a long stem that has at least 4 leaves, and you can do this from outside ivy as well. And you're going to cut below a leaf, below the node, and you have a nice wide angled slant there so it can soak up the water. That's where your roots will be. And you can even use a rooting compound for soil, but I like to do mine in water so I can watch them grow.
The moment you find out it does not hold water. So much for that idea. I'm determined to make this work. So I first tried getting a little dish that I had. I have a few of these. I think these are for salt at place settings. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know. I've got some beautiful little dishes that match it as well. And then I tried the top in here. That didn't work. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try this aluminum foil now. And I'll make it fit and then I'll put that back on top because I really thought that was pretty. I was using this to hold some knives that had some pearl handles, but I'm going to use it for this now, I think. I made sure there was no seam at the lower section. Let's give it a go. Let's do this with one hand. I'm going to need 2 to get all those extra ones in. Just a moment. I'm going to keep an eye on it for now, but I'm going to guess that's going to work pretty darn good. If not, I'll put them in something else, but I really wanted to bring some more silver here over to the sink. I'm going to play with the sink area a little bit later. The cloche is once again working, keeping this little plant moist. I have to look up the name. I shared it in a past video. It is almost indestructible and I barely have to water it, and I will find out what it is.
I'm finally getting outside and taking care of a few things, including the greens that are under the front windows. I kept looking at the brown greens from inside. Today is the day to take care of it because it has reached 30 degrees. It's a heat wave right now. I was going to head back out to the yard with the greens, but I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to walk in the snow and see if my modified fence idea would work. I talked about it in last week's video about moving one of the limbs for the lilac tree, and I think it's going to work out great. So now I'm absolutely going to send a sketch to the fence company, and they said they can come back out and do the final measures before they make it. And I'm excited because now my fence will go on the outside of the second window. And while I'm standing here, I am realizing I'm not going to have to remove as much as this lilac tree as I thought. It's just going to be some of the upper limbs and maybe one of the lower limbs, just so that it won't be in the way of future growth. But I am so excited because visually I really wanted it where I'm standing versus in between the 2 windows. So this excites me. Little things can excite me. All we need to do is this little dog leg that I'm kind of walking around the well pump, and this is going to work fantastic. And it also gives it a little bit of a dimension. It's going to give it some shape and make it look like that chocolate vine that's covering the well pump is going to be kind of in the forefront of the fence, and I like that a lot. And I'm also going to put the gate now right about where I am so that when I walk out of the kitchen, it's a little bit closer. I might put a gate on the front too so that it's centered with the kitchen window, but I'm not sure. I can make that decision probably within the month. But right now, I know the gate's going to be on that right-hand side. I'm excited. This works out. And then I figured this worked. Why don't I head out back and do the same thing where we're thinking about putting garden beds. And I'm just trying to decide if I want to keep them where they are for another year because of all the construction going to go on out back, or do I want to put them to the left of the patio? And then if I do the left of the patio, do I keep it smaller or do I go a little larger and get it close to the sugar shack where I'll be keeping our tools? But me being me, I got a little distracted by the trees that are around the patio, thinking about how I'm going to trim them fairly soon. I want to do it before they start to bud, which should be in about a month and a half. And a lot of this redder growth is new growth. I trimmed these 2 years ago and they do need it again. So I'm just assessing these and trying to figure out where I'm going to cut them. And I do look forward to doing that. I don't want this patio shaded a lot, but it is nice to pull one of the lounge chairs under it if I want to have a little bit of shade. I was going to get out my drone and do an overhead shot and sketch it, but this is way more scientific and fun. Let's be real. It was fun playing in the snow. And being housebound for 6 weeks, this was a treat to finally get out and be a little active. And now I'm like, well, let's just see what it's like if I extend it a wee bit more closer to the sugar shack. And I kind of like it. And here's a little bit more scientific measurements. I'm using my arms to see if it will fit. Yeah, that's not going to work. Even a bird laughed at me. And I also realized that I have the garden dimensions from Groton House, and I'm trying to reproduce that garden when it comes to the garden beds, the size they were, the spacing. I might even get the same black fence to go around it. I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to go inside and I'm going to go grab that book and look at my measurements and see how it works out with this particular plan. Well, it is a couple mornings from my last filming, and I didn't get to show you the garden area that I was talking about with Groton, and also I ended up sketching the little dog leg that I did outside in the front snow area for the gate. And this is a really rough sketch that I sent off to the gate people, not the gate people, the fence company that we're going to be modifying. And I'm just looking forward to getting this little section done out front. It's going to add a lot of character because we have been taking things away from sugarwood, and in this transition it looks a little bland, but now we know we're putting things back, and that was the whole process. So this is what I sent off to the fence people, and many have seen this book. This garden book has been traveling with me, oh goodness, I don't know how many homes. A lot of homes. I add to it, I delete it, and I was flipping through it yesterday. I even have some old sketches from garden beds that Ben and I built prior to our garden-themed wedding. So I had these built, and when I say had them built, Ben and I built them, and we had all the wood cut at Home Depot for us in the size we wanted, and we just put on brackets, and they worked really well. And this is, I'm trying to think of what I don't even know what this is. This was several different boxes that I did. So this is how I like to plan things out. I keep this book together of a lot of the items that I have planted in the past. And speaking of planted, I got a lot of referrals to go check out Laura with Garden Answer to learn about seeds. Now, I've been watching Laura since she started her channel, and I love seeing her growth. I mean, she was learning by doing for a lot of it, even though her parents own the garden center, and I really love and appreciate how she's still learning and sharing what she's learned. And I think I alluded to the fact that I don't know how to plant seeds, which is far from it. What I was commenting on is
I don't like the time that it takes. I love instant gratification, but in every house, I have planted seeds for sweet peas. Some have been successful, some haven't. I have planted seeds for many crops over the years. But what's different here for sugarwood is I want to plant a lot of seeds of different varieties, not just sweet peas, not just carrots, things like that. So I think when I was talking, I did make myself sound like I don't know how to plant seeds. I do. It's just that when I was talking about the hunter farmer, I like things fast and done. And that's why I like to buy things that I could plant that are already started. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know why, but I did. So this is Groton House's garden that I was planning out. I don't know if you can see it in this sheet protector. But this is what we had, and it had a beautiful stone area, and these beds were already here. But she had some vegetables in there. I started fresh and I did a lot of things, and I'm gonna show a photo or a little video of midsummer when all the irises were growing. But I had irises, and then I had my peonies in a couple areas. Back here was sweet peas and clematis together, so that I had a little difference of some growing there. And I had peppers and lettuce. This is from the lettuce video that I showed. I think I'll try to remember to link that below. I had a lot of fun with that. And this is what I was talking about when I want to do out back. And I have notes here that it was 24 by 24 and the garden beds were 4 by 8. So I'm glad I made those notes, and I think on the next page is my rough draft. So I went from this quick sketch to this, and I was planning out where I'm going to put things. And I'm going to do the same for out back. But now I know this size I really liked, 24 by 24, so I can go out with some stakes and put them in the snow and see where they look best. So this is only minutes after I just showed you this. Ben and I just had a little quick coffee discussion over this garden area. We've decided we're gonna fix up and modify the old garden beds this year. We're probably just gonna build around them, fill them with nicer soil, might make them a little higher, and we're gonna wait to build this beautiful garden once the barn is built, because we were just saying, maybe we want this in front of the barn and kind of leading into it, because we're making this a beautiful focal point for entertaining. So all this said and done, and all of the thinking, which is great, this is why you do things like this, we're gonna fix up the old garden beds, and this plan will be put on hold until 2026, and that's okay. I will have plenty of time to start thinking, and then maybe I'll have a fence that I really want. I'm gonna go back to this book, because with all the deer and the bears, they're still gonna get into gardens so many different ways. But one of my favorite garden fences is this very simple one with the metal gating, but it has the wood poles that has changed color. So this is probably cedar, and it's grayed out, and I really like this. So this is something that I could have our fence company build the base, and then we'll go in and we'll put in this wire fencing. So this is one less thing I'm gonna have to think about this year, which makes me happy. And now we have a plan. We can order the wood to go around the old ones. We'll probably raise them up a layer. And then we were saying that if we build them in a way, we can actually pick them up with a tractor next year and move the wood beds, move the bed itself somewhere else in the yard, if we want to. Or we'll have, maybe I'll use one for flowers and the other for vegetables. I don't know. So that's what we're doing at this point, and I love having that decision made. Early morning coffee, it works, and he likes his quiet time, and I go at him chatting all the time, so I'm glad this decision's done. And I think while I'm here, I'm also going to show you what I was doing for the wattle fence. Let me go find that in my mess over here. This is my pile of what I'm going to be working on, the channel, throughout the year. It's almost done. My book is almost complete, but let me go find the wattle fence thing. Well, I searched through my pile for what I was looking for, and go figure, I already put it in the book in March because that's when I know I'll start shopping for it, and I wanted to share it. So this is what I'm thinking of for our compost bins. I might buy rebar because it will rust with age, and then I'm going to put it around and create 2 boxes, and then I can do the wattle fence with the sticks. Now, my in-laws had a wattle fence that they use for compost, and then we did it at Groton. I had one in Littleton, but the bear got it once, and it was really rickety. But I want to make this nice and sturdy as possible, so that's why I'm going to try the rebar. And then, like I said, I'm going to go out and do a lot of the smaller volunteers that I can weave in and out. And that's what I used for the arch between the 2 yards. I used a lot of the volunteers that were growing in the woods. So that's what I'm doing. And I figured out already that I'm going to do 4-foot rebar. And I looked online, they're about $5 each. And I don't know how many bars I'm going to need, but this is kind of what I'm looking at for the pricing. And I'll be able to order them online and pick them up. So this is a plan for March. It's already in the book. Okay, let's take one last peek at the seeds, and I have not looked since the last video. This is, what, 5 days out maybe? And I'm gonna just keep it at this and figure out what I'm gonna do because my new seeds arrived. I'm gonna show you that. So let's take a look at the regular sweet peas. Oh, and look what we have. We have a good amount of those that have seeded. So my regular sweet peas, it looks like, let me see, what are we at? Well, this one's really, really good. So we're at 50%. So I know, and just from this, I'm gonna guess that 50% of that sweet pea packet will be good. So I'll probably plant most of them. Let's see the garlic and chive. And I know some of you mentioned about expiration dates, but you can still use things past the expired dates. That's just, you know, they do that also for selling. Nothing has happened with the chive, but boy, it smells like chive. That's crazy. So I have nothing here. That package is gonna go bye-bye. And that probably is an older packet. Let's see what the heirlooms look like. I hope I have some. Well, not really. I just have one that opened up, but looks like this particular packet of heirloom is not good. And I know some of you have mentioned about starting sweet peas. There are a few tricks. One is soaking them for at least 24 hours before planting them. And then some of you mentioned nicking them first. So nicking them would actually give you something like that to start. And then you could soak it and see what happens. But unfortunately, this packet of heirloom seeds, I'm going to say, is probably not going to work. If I wanted to throw them in the ground, I can do that once it warms up. I might, but once again, I have my other seeds. Now, I can already see through the paper here what's happening with the cucumbers. You can always count on cucumbers. Look how many there are. This one actually has some mold on it because they've just grew so fast. Let me bring this up a little closer. And honestly, I only do a few cucumbers because they grow and grow and grow. So I'm only going to use a few from this packet, and I know that I'll have cucumbers. And sweet peas, the Morse package. Oh, so nope, once again, I only had a little tiny start, it looks like. Maybe too teeny, but not like my first packet. Could it be the way it was layered? Maybe. Could these be too wet? Possibly. But once again, I'll probably just sow these right into the ground and I'll mark them and see what happens. But let me go grab the seeds that just came. I haven't even opened them yet. So let me just put this here. I know these are going to be planted, my regular ones. I'll be right back. So I was asked where I ordered these from. It's from a company called Baker Creek. And let's see. Wow, nice big packages too. I mean, this is a good size package compared to some that I buy out and about, but it's still, you know, the amount of seeds. So here's the mother of pearl poppies. And as some of you mentioned, there's a sell-by date of 12/31/25. It really doesn't mean that's when they expire though. That's the best time. And I have some asparagus. Unfortunately, asparagus, you don't want to even really harvest it for 2 years, but this is going to be worth the wait. Looking forward to getting those planted. And here's some sweet peas, high scent. And it says right here, heirloom seeds. Actually, they all do here. Heirloom. So this is key for me, getting heirloom seeds. Somebody also mentioned from the last video that Mount Vernon has a store and also sells heirloom seeds. Radishes, I'm looking forward to planting those. I love them in my salad. Leeks, great. And here are the butterfly peas. And one thing, I'll show that in a minute of what this is. Oh, look, I got some free seeds. Lettuce. Oh, isn't that nice? Hello, Jordan, farm manager. So that was nice, I like that. So I'll try planting some lettuce for sure. And let's see when I have to plant it. But let me go grab the butterfly tea. I want to show you what these are going to be used for. Okay, so here we are. This blue tea is this butterfly pea flower. These are in little tiny cases, but it turns tea blue. There's not a lot of flavor to it, but I love putting it in lemonade. It changes the color completely, and you can put it in cocktails. So now I can use my own, and I can package them up like this and give them as gifts to friends in the holidays, if they grow. So I'm excited. I got these seeds. I have a few more that I will be buying, and we're going to go from there. And this color, I hope to at least see a show of these. My favorite color. Well, kindred spirits, I hope you enjoyed today's video, Homemaking at Any Age, and I will see you next week with a new topic. Bye now.